So I do love badges. However, the serious question on the banknote, I actually do think we should keep Churchill on the banknote, and let me explain why. Not only was he a liberal, at times, but he did lead our country in a fight against fascism. He's part of our national patriotic story. And if we don't talk about that and champion that he should be on banknotes, who are we leaving that space to? We're leaving it to Nigel Farage. And I am not prepared, conference, to allow the far right to take our national story for themselves. We own that more than they do. So, I know, sorry if I've offended anyone in the party. I love nature, right? I joined the party because of our strong environmental policies back in the day. But I do think we have this moral responsibility I talked about earlier, and that means making sure that we stand up for our country, what we stand for, and major figures in our country. And, you know, in what I said about the banknotes, I talked also about Jane Austen, James W. Turner, and Alan Turing, right? And one of the proudest moments that I recall in our party was when we won the campaign. John Leach, when he was Member of Parliament, John Leach, who's an amazing councillor now in Manchester, he campaigned to get Alan Turing on the banknotes. Well, we are the only party taking on Donald Trump. Now, maybe that's not controversial, but no one else is doing it. And I'm determined we do. I mean, this man is corrupt. This man is dangerous. And, you know, the Tories and Reform cheerleader for Donald Trump, the government seems, you know, can't quite make his mind up and has been trying to cozy up to him for most of the time he's been in his second term. We've been the only ones calling him out. I think that has got some cut through, really do. And certainly we get great feedback on it. And the fact we then give our alternative, which is a very pro-European position, working with our European allies, our Commonwealth allies, I think that is serious politics, which has got noticed. Because there's no doubt taxes at a very high level. We've borrowed a lot of money, and the finances are not in a great shape. And so we've got to have some serious questions as a country, let alone a party, about how we deal with this very difficult fiscal situation. The truth is, the only real way out of it is to grow the economy. Now, Labour said that at the last election, didn't they? And then they had no growth strategy whatsoever. And that, frankly, was a con on all of us and has led, I think, to the huge disappointment. And yes, there are wins from different parts of the world, whether it's, you know, normally Donald Trump, but nevertheless, they still haven't articulated any strategy that either investors or businesses or we really can believe in. So what we have to do, and this is the core of my answer to that question, we have to show that we do have a growth strategy. I will talk a little bit about this tomorrow, but as I mentioned in an earlier answer, a lot of it is about rebuilding our relationship with Europe. There is no doubt that improving the trading position of a country is the fastest way to get growth going and to fix the public finances. And a lot of the analysis, and we saw it pre-Brexit, we've certainly seen it post-Brexit, is if you get that growth, whether it's through a customs union, improving the broader relationship, you can get that growth. There was a study done by an American institute, a bit like our Institute of Fiscal Studies. It was a not-for-profit economic think tank in the States. It's had more Nobel Prize winners for economics than any other equivalent organization in the States, so it's pretty pucker. And it analyzed what's happened since Brexit, and it showed that the GDP had been hit, our national income, our growth, by between 6 and 8%. 6 and 8%. And that was worth to the Exchequer nearly £100 billion. So, you know, if you want to be able to deal with those problems, whether it's finding money for our NHS, finding money to help with the cost of living, you've got to sort out growth. And that starts with our relationship with Europe. Now, I want to go...
Today, we look out to a world more divided and dangerous than at any time since the Cold War. The security guarantees we once took for granted have been shaken to their core by Donald Trump. By casting doubt on America's commitment to NATO's Article 5, he has thrown our collective security into question. His illegal attacks on Venezuela and Iran have trampled on international law, as he has tried to twist international politics in a system of might equals right. Vladimir Putin has been only too eager to take advantage of the opportunities created by Trump. He cannot believe his luck to have the Donald back in the White House, a man the former KGB agent has no trouble wrapping around his little finger. We learned yesterday that instead of choking off Russia's war economy, Trump has agreed to line Putin's war chest by lifting US sanctions on Russian oil and gas. Shameful. Putin continues to prosecute his barbaric war in Ukraine and expanding his campaign of sabotage, disinformation and espionage across Europe, including here in Britain. The defining challenge for our nation then is how we meet those unprecedented threats. And it will require thinking about defence in a new way. Because to stand up for the liberal values we cherish, we must be strong enough to defend them. Conference, the task before us is clear: to rearm Britain, to rebuild our alliances, to renew our national resilience. That is what this moment requires, and that is what the Liberal Democrats are ready to do. Conference, in this new era, the first duty is to rebuild our alliances. Trump's chaos has made restoring ties with Europe a national security priority. Britain is safer when we stand together with Europe. In the face of Putin's imperialism and Trump's bullying, we cannot afford to drift, and Labour's so-called EU reset has fallen well short of what this moment demands. What Britain needs now is seriousness, real ambition, real urgency. Take the EU's €150 billion safe rearmament fund. This is not some Brussels side issue. The Prime Minister should personally lead negotiations to get UK access. British firms should be central to Europe's rearmament. And if the City of London is helping to ensure the oil and gas that fund Putin's war chest, then the city must stop. In 2025, UK-insured tankers transported nearly 50 billion of Russian fossil fuels. That is billions flowing straight into Putin's war machine. It has to end. That is why I am calling for a complete ban on all UK services for the transport and insurance of Russian oil, Russian gas and Russian coal. No more British business helping to bankroll Putin's barbarism. Conference. The second task is to rearm Britain. The most senior British commanders have warned that we are not ready for a conflict. The evidence is plain. So Britain needs urgent investment in defence. Britain needs procurement that is faster, smarter and more accountable. And Britain needs to prepare for the wars of the future, not the habits of the past. And that is why we are proposing defence bonds. Because serious threats require serious funding. Defence bonds would raise £20 billion over 2 years and invest directly in the capabilities our armed forces need. They would attract funding from the financial markets, but they would also be available to the public. A secure way for people to invest their savings while helping to strengthen Britain's national defence. A chance to back our armed forces, a chance to back our security, a chance to back Britain.